Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I decided to make another video. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about 7 fantasy books on my TBR that you have never heard of. Now, maybe you have heard of them, and in that case, great. But most people probably haven't. I pride myself on not being afraid to read books I've not heard anything about. I don't find that a waste of time or anything. I like to discover new things, and I want to share that stuff with you. I've had people in my comments a number of times saying like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of this book that you're talking about. Thank you for sharing it. We need more people talking about books that aren't just the big ones. And don't get me wrong, I am also here talking about Stormlight Archive, okay? But yeah, here's 7 that you haven't actually heard of. But before we get to the list, I want to talk about today's sponsor, which is Mythology Candles. Mythology Candles is an online store that focuses on, you guessed it, candles. They are an amazing company that makes fantasy-inspired candles to help turn your home into the coziest of castles. Right now they have huge collections like an Arthurian collection, a Narnia collection, which is my personal favorite, my absolute favorite one being the Lamppost, and they have some less specific fantasy candles like Afternoon Tea. But they're not just a candle shop. Mythology Candles has their online community called the Guild, and if you are a guild member, you get a ton of awesome perks. Things like huge discounts on the candle subscriptions, on shipping both US and international, access to the members only group chat, access to the Candle Vault, which is exclusives and special editions that are no longer available to everyone else, and guild only candle drops like their brand new one that just came out a couple of days ago, The Mask of Red Death. This is inspired by the works of Edgar Allan Poe, and it is gorgeous. Lastly, my absolute favorite part about Mythology Candles is that they know it's hard to buy a scent related product online without trying it. So first of all, they have a scent quiz where you can take a quiz to figure out which of their candles are best suited for you. And then if you receive your candle and you're not entirely happy with it, they have a super easy, super functional return policy where they just get it. They know you might not love a candle that you've never smelled before. So thank you so much, Mythology Candles, for sponsoring this video. My affiliate links are in the description below where you can join the guild, get access to that brand new Mask of Red Death candle, and all of the previous candles as well. Okay, back to the video. So I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee before we actually get started because I'm very tired today. The first book that is on my list is actually a novella, I think. I haven't, calculated if it's actually a novella, but it sure looks like one. I have here The Armored Saint by Mike Cole. This is the first book in the Sacred Throne trilogy. I also have the second book, Queen of Crows, and look how short it is. This is published by Tor, and it came out in 2018, so it's pretty recent, relatively. And I think it's actually gonna be like one of the very next books I read because I love to read a short book after I read a long book, and y'all know I'm reading Words of Radiance right now. The Armored Saint is a very familiar feeling story from what I can tell. It is set in a world where, I almost said witchcraft and wizardry, it's not Harry Potter. It's set in a world where magic and wizardry is outlawed because anyone who uses magic might accidentally open up a portal to hell. So there is this thing called the Order, and they're going around just slaughtering anyone and everyone to make sure that no one's using magic. Our main character is a village girl. It's described in the back as a village girl named Heloise who witnesses something in her village and decides to oppose the Order, which of course risks bringing them down on herself, her family, her village. What stands out to me about this one and why I personally feel it's different from other stuff with, kind of pretty similar sounding, not synopses, blurbs, is that it features arcane war machines. Now, I don't know if that's just this big ass armor she's wearing on the front or what it is, but I'm a fan of that. Whatever it is, I'm a fan of it. It's also like a holy war setting, like a religious war, and I love a good religious war, not in real life, in fantasy. Oh, and if you needed another reason to read it, Robin Hobb, your bestie, says ruthless and heart-wrenching. The next book on the list is another Holy War religious-based book, and it's Godblind by Anna Stevens. Now this is described as a grimdark debut, and I actually found this book. I was looking up lists of grimdark novels by women. I don't remember why I was doing that, but I was looking this up last year for something and I found this book and I was like, this sounds so cool. But it's not popular, at least here in North America, because I believe it's published by Gollance in the UK, but here it's published by Talos, which is like not anything. It's a publisher, but they, you know, they're not one of the big ones. So I've actually read the first chapter already. Like when I got this, I read the first chapter or so, just to see what it was like, to see if it was something I did want to read, and I definitely do. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And it starts off actually pretty similarly to The Armored Saint. So it's like the girl in a village doing village stuff, and then there's a slaughter. There is a group of people, the Miraces? I don't know. Miricus? And they worship the red gods, and the red gods are known as these bloodthirsty, grimdark gods that love violence. That's their thing, violence and death. And the people that worship these red gods, they have a new king who has been exiled a while ago, but he is now plotting to invade Rilpor, which is the main country in this story, to ravage the land, I think, or get their resources or something. Our main two characters, from what I can tell, are a seer named Dom, who is a citizen of Rilpor and worships the gods of light. He is plagued by prophecies and visions. When one day, a slave of the Miraces named Rillarin? I'm having a hard time with the names in this book. Rillarin shows up in his village or town or whatever, bloody and escaped from the Miraces, and they come together and things happen. There's also a prince trying to wrest power from his dying father. There's lots of like ritual sacrifices and dark things in this book, and I am excited. I also have the second one, which is called Dark Soul, which just makes me laugh because it reminds me of Dark Souls, but it's called Dark Soul, and I have a signed copy that Emmy, Slavic Reader on Instagram, got for me when she met Anna Stevens at an event last year. So she got that signed for me and sent it over, so thank you so much, Emmy and Anna Stevens. Okay, book number 3 you probably have heard of, but I put it on this list because I'm confused as to why we're not talking about it. It is The Weaver and the Witch Queen by Genevieve Gornichek. Now, Genevieve Gornichek became very popular, at least on Bookstagram, with her previous book, The Witch's Heart, which was a retelling of Loki's wife, Agrabota. There we go. Like, what is her name? It's one of the feminist mythology retellings that came out sort of in a sequence, like after Madeline Miller released Song of Achilles and Circe. It was one that like sort of fell into that, but it was Norse mythology. I can't talk today. And yeah, so this is sort of her follow-up. They're not related, but it is another historical fantasy feminist retelling as far as I can tell. The story of The Weaver and the Witch Queen is set in 10th century Norway, and it's the story of two childhood friends, Odny and Gunhild, and Odny's sister Signy, but I guess she's not a POV character. They want very different things in life. Odny wants to live a peaceful, quiet, I would imagine weaver life, and Gunhild strives for power, and she wants to be a witch queen. I wonder where the title came from. When they are children, they're visited by a wise woman, oracle type person who makes a dark prophecy about them. It's not clear what that is, but a prophecy links the two of them and the sister of Signy. So they make like a blood oath pact thing to always be there for each other for the rest of their lives. The book itself is set when they're much older, and at this point Gunhild has gone off to study to be a witch, and she finds that her fate is connected to King Eric, who I believe is a real person. But Odny is living her life at home when her village is attacked by Vikings and her sister Signy is taken, and she is now on a quest to save her sister. It's unclear like how their stories come together, but obviously they will. And Genevieve Gornichek's previous book, The Witch's Heart, is the only book in recent memory that has made me sob like a baby. So I want to get to this because I imagine it'll be amazing. One of my coworkers did read it, I believe, but for the life of me, I can't remember what she said about it. People just aren't talking about this book. Everyone loved The Witch's Heart, and then this one just like came and went. So I want to read this, and I think you should too, and then we should talk about it, okay? The fourth book on the list is The Last Blade Priest by W.P. Wiles. This is a 2022 release from Angry Robot, and I think it has just an absolutely stunning cover. Look at this gold foiling. Now, this book, the blurb does not give me a lot of what it's actually about, but I can tell you it's another Holy War book. That's the theme of the video, I think. It's Holy War, religious tyrants, etc. 3 between the old and the new, 3 below the mountain. Our main 3 characters are the priest, trained to kill for God, now fighting for survival in a religion tearing itself apart. The builder, son of a traitor, now ordered to spy on those who overthrew his land. And the child, protected, lied to, now learning the truth. I really wish I could tell you more about what this book is actually about, but I have read the first chapter of this as well, just to like get a taste for it. And I can tell you that the prose is super engaging. I'm really interested in this book. And I don't mind that the blurb doesn't tell you a lot other than like, I guess I should read more of it. It talks about the plans of rulers and the ruled, conquerors and conquered. They play out beneath the spread wings of the custodians, which is capitalized, and the shifting light and dark of Craith, the god mountain. 3 people carry hope in their hands, and an ancient teeming evil senses its chance to return. So again, a pretty familiar sounding premise, but I am so interested in this book. A lot of the time I actually go into books without reading the blurb at all, so I'm not bothered by the fact that I don't really know what this book is about, because the writing is so good right off the bat that I am totally drawn in and I'm here for it. And I love a good holy war. So next we have a 2021 release from Goodreads, and it is The Collarbound by Rebecca Zahavi. This one made its rounds on Bookstagram, I believe, like very briefly, but again, it's one that I'm surprised we're not seeing more of. It was completely a cover buy for me. I think this cover is absolutely stunning. And then the premise actually does sound pretty interesting, and I've already read the first 3 chapters of it before I put it aside because I was just like reading it when I should have been reading other books. This is the story of a rebellion. In this world, there's a strict hierarchy based on magical abilities, so mages are in charge, from what I can tell. And on one side of the Shadow Pass, there are refugees coming to a place called the Nest, which is sort of like a haven for mages, it seems like. It's up in the air about whether it's a good place or a bad place. So one refugee named Isha comes over from the Shadow Pass to the Nest, and she can't remember any of her past. And she has this tattoo that marks her as something. I don't know. Care? K-H-E-R. She's trying to figure out who she is, why she has this tattoo, and she's got no idea. She's just trying to lay low in the Nest, but then she meets this guy who is a slave named Tatters. He's trying to escape his past. He used to belong to the rebellion, and he still does, but he's a slave, but he's with the mages. I don't really know, but they come together, they meet each other and form a friendship and are in a rebellion. This book is deceptively short. I just want to say it's bound as a hardcover, so it like looks bigger than it is, but it's only actually 341 pages, which is quite short for what this seems to be, an epic fantasy, which I like. I like shorter fantasy books just as palate cleansers. It might not be for you if you're looking for something huge and sweeping and epic, but it is the start of a fantasy trilogy, and I think the second one might be out, or I'm making that up. Future me. Find out and put it in. Now we have a brand new release from 2023. This comes from Harper Voyager, and it's The Hunters by David Ragg. I did talk about this in a previous video when I bought it. I just showed it off a bit, but I didn't go in depth. So like, let's talk about this book. This one looks so fun. I think this is the most fun sounding book on the list. Most of them are pretty like grimdark or with like religious context, obviously, and seem to be like heavy hitters. This seems more fun, but with heart and probably with darker aspects to it, just I would just imagine. The shoutline for this book is, she's on the run. They're out to kill, but what happens when you try to catch a hunter? So our main character is this girl here, this woman, Ree, and she was a hunter in a past life, but now she and her niece Giovanni, who I think is this girl, have settled down on the edge of the known world trying to just like lay low. But professional killers are coming to find her and disrupt her life. And this sets off a big chase through apparently mountains, deserts, mines, which sounds awesome. And it's about Ree trying to keep herself and her niece alive while battling with who she is now and who she was before. It sounds really cool. It gives me almost Mad Max vibes. I don't know why. I know it's not like dystopian science fiction, but it just, the cover and the vibes are Mad Max, and I'm here for it. I don't know who this supporting cast of characters is, but they also look fun. Bloody badass. Okay, and we are on the last book on my list now, number 7. Also, I forgot to mention, these are in no particular order at all, just the order I felt like talking about them in. Okay, so this one is probably the most well-known entry on my list, but I have questions again as to why we are not currently talking about it. It's a bit older, and by older, I just mean from 2016. I don't know. That's a long time ago. Actually, that is a long time ago. That was almost 10 years ago. What the heck? It is The Waking Fire by Anthony Ryan. This is the first book in his Draconis Memoria series, which is a completed trilogy. And the reason I'm confused as to why we don't hear about it is, one, because like Anthony Ryan is pretty popular now with his Covenant of Steel series. And also like, you guys love dragons. You guys love dragons right now. So like, let's talk about this dragon trilogy that I haven't read. Also, side note, I just want to say I love this cover. All 3 of these books in the series have excellent covers. So this is set in a world controlled by the Iron Ship Trading Syndicate. And in this world, nothing is more prized than the blood of drakes, which are dragons. And like, don't go in the comments telling me drakes and dragons are different. I know, but like, just for the sake of this, they're dragons. The blood of these dragons bestows like insane fearsome powers on people called the Blood Blessed. But in this world, not a lot of people know that the power of the dragons, the line of the dragons, is weakening, and this will greatly impact the world and start wars with neighboring countries, etc. There are rumors of a very, very, very powerful Drake bloodline to the north somewhere. And our main characters are chosen by fate, I guess, to go seek it. I don't know what that means, but I'll read the book and I'll find out. We have a thief who's also an unregistered blood blessed, which I think is a really cool concept. I like when people with powers have to be registered. I feel like a lot of the things I'm saying in this video have IRL negative connotations, but I'm talking about the fantasy world. We also have a spy slash assassin and a lieutenant of one of these iron ship cruisers. And now this is just the start of the trilogy, so I would imagine this book is mostly like the journey, and the characters getting to know each other, where more politicking and scheming will come in the later books, but I think it sounds great. And if you don't believe me, take it from Django Wexler, who says the Waking Fire is part Indiana Jones, part Pirates of the Caribbean, and part Mistborn. Frick yeah. So I don't know, if you're looking for a dragon book that's not the one that's going around right now and not something you've read before, I totally think we should be reading Draconis Memoria and The Waking Fire and the other books, because it's a completed trilogy by a phenomenal author, and it's about dragons. Okay, that is my list. These were 7 fantasy books on my TBR currently that you have never heard of. Let me know in the comments, of course, if you have read any of these. I know I'm not the first person to discover these books, but let me know what you think of them down below. Let me know also if you think any of them sounded really interesting and if you think you're gonna give them a try. And then let me know if you want a part 2 of this video, because I really cut it down to 7 books. I didn't want the video to be 90 hours long, but I've got a ton of other fantasy books to talk about. I also think I could do this for other genres, because as you know, fantasy is not my only genre. I read a lot of science fiction and I read a lot of horror, and I think I could definitely do similar videos in those genres. So just let me know down below what you're interested in seeing. Before I go, I want to thank my sponsor again, Mythology Candles. Check out the affiliate links in the description to see their whole catalog of candles. Join the guild and get access to all those perks I talked about before, and let me know what your favorite candle is if you do that. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell icon so you know when I upload new videos. I upload 2 days a week. I love you guys. Goodbye.